Okay, so hopefully this will be a relatively quick video. I want to talk about some presets I made for Dehancer, the Dehancer plugin I talked about a few videos ago. I made a couple of presets that have the vibe of Kodak Portra 400. Now, that film, along with a handful of other films, will have drastically different looks depending on the situation, lighting situation, how you develop it, all this stuff. So I had a handful of inspirations that I looked at for my Portra 400 presets. They're not going to be exactly as you expect all Portra 400 to look like, but just has the vibe and the feel. So what I'm going to do now is I have about 6 photos in Capture One. We're going to go into Capture One, pick out a few photos to work with, take those photos to Dehancer, and play around with the presets. First, I'm going to show you how to import the presets, and then we'll show you what other options you have from that point on. So let's hop into Capture One first. So we're in Capture One already. I have these 6 photos of the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. It's one of my favorite places to take just random street photography. It's has an easy place to park, and I can do this relatively quickly. But yet I get a variety of photos depending on what's going on. So I just have 6 photos that I picked out that would be perfect for this preset. So now that we're in Capture One, let's choose the first photo we want to work with. I'm gonna choose this one. This is a good one to start with because they actually all have people, but let's start with this one because I think it has balanced lighting. So I just clicked edit with Dehancer after I chose the picture I want to work with. Okay, so actually I'm going to delete, I have these presets already installed. I'm going to delete them so I can show you how to install them. So I already gave a tour last time of Dehancer, but just to review, there's these 2 tabs. There's these 2 tabs on the left hand side of Dehancer. One says profiles, the other says presets. And we want to be on the presets tab for this demo. Now these are all the presets that I have made. Not all of them work very well. This is just some experimentation going on here. What I'm going to do is import the 2 that I'm giving you guys to download for free. So I'm going to click this import preset option. I have the 2 presets I made, 2 Portra 400 inspired presets on my desktop in a folder. So I'm going to import each one by one. There's just 2 of them. And that is it. Simple as that. So just the import button. So I put these 2 in a zip file that are on my Buy Me a Coffee page. They're totally free. Obviously donations are welcome. But yeah, I'm just gonna make some free presets. These are just settings that are fun to play around with. Now, if you don't have Dehancer yet and just decide to buy it, I do invite you to use my coupon code or discount code, whatever it's called. It's in the description, and I think it's also on my Buy Me a Coffee page. So find my discount code if you haven't purchased Dehancer yet, and you might as well get a discount if you're gonna buy it anyways. Probably saw right when I clicked on import of those presets that already applied it, but I have 2 Portra 400 presets, and the reason why I have 2 is because version 1, I think sometimes, this picture's not so bad, but sometimes it overexposes the skin tones if you have people in the picture. So if to give you a second choice, I have version 2. So this is slightly pulled back on the brights, and so it's not quite so easily overexposed. But you could just import these 2 presets, compare each one, and be done. That's the beautiful thing. What makes this app even better is that it adjusts your parameters on the right hand column here according to your preset, which allows you to tweak the preset. So you can start with one of my presets or one of the built-in settings or someone else's presets, and then tweak the settings to fit whatever your goal is. If I decide that the V1 is what I want to go with, but I want to take down exposure a bit because it's too bright. I can do that, and then I can tweak the contrast. So if when I pull down the exposure, if the shadows got too dark, I can decrease contrast and give it the slightly more washed out look if I choose to do so. I'm going to increase tonal contrast, which also it appears to have a slight effect on saturation as well, but that's about where I like it. And I'm going to pull back exposure just a little bit. Also in here you have a saturation setting and whatnot too if you feel like the image is a little too saturated or not saturated enough. But let's say I'm happy with that. I can click OK. Oops, click OK, and what it does is it edits the TIFF file that Capture One created. When I take an image from Capture One to Dehancer, Capture One converts it to a TIFF first and sends that TIFF to Dehancer. Since Dehancer is not a raw file converter, it needs to work with TIFF files. So that's what Capture One does beforehand. Okay, let's work on another photo here. Let's go to this one where there's not a lot of bright spots, but there's definitely a handful of people in here, and we want to make sure that the people look how we want them to look for this image. So let's go right click on that image in the browser here, edit with Dehancer Lightroom plugin. I'm just going to leave all these settings on their default settings and click edit the variants, and it's going to create that TIFF file, and it brought it in and it applied a default look, and now I'm going to click on my presets and see which one works best. First I'll click on the Portra version 1, and for this image version 1 is definitely too much. It's overexposed. So let's click version 2, and version 2 works much much better. Let's look at a before and after. So before, this is the image that came from Capture One, and this is the image that I applied the Portra 2 preset to. Now if we just I can show you a couple things what's going on here. You see how the skin tone just has a slightly richer color, and I tried to apply all the key elements that you might expect to see in a film like this. So along with the skin tones looking like this, you have some halation here. You have I think the right amount of contrast between the bright spots and the dark spots here. One of the elements that you'll see in portrait images sometimes is sometimes you'll see a little bit of blown out or a really bright white. So I kind of kept that vibe going. And I think these presets, between these two, you can get a really good set of portrait style images, especially if you're shooting with the two presets. You can cover most scenarios. Preset 1 I would say use for landscape and architecture and city scenes that don't have a ton of people or not a lot of skin tones that you're worried about, at least. And then the second V2 Portrait V2 I would use for portraits or with people, something you want to protect the skin tones a little more. So let's do one more and then we'll wrap this up. I just wanted to be a fairly quick video, at least quick for me. Let's do this one with Elvis here looking unhappy. I'll go edit with Dehancer Lightroom plugin, edit variants. It opens Dehancer. It applies its default whatever default profile it's pulling up. Let's try my Portra 400 V1. That's really bright, probably too much. Try V2, and that's better. Although I feel like maybe it's a combination between the two. So let's start with V1, and then I'll pull back exposure. This might be an area where I need to adjust the expand panels a little bit. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere here. I feel like that's getting close to something kind of cool. Definitely vintage approaching that vintage vibe, especially if I wash out those blacks a little bit. But I think I might leave them about right here. Now let's look at this before and after. That's the TIFF file that Capture One sent to Dehancer, and this is with my preset with some adjustments in the print and expand modules. I click OK, and now it saves back to that same TIFF file the new adjustments, and now I have a TIFF file that has the look I just created, and I can use that TIFF the same way I would use any sort of image that I use in Capture One. I can print it, I can do some more editing on it, whatever. You have a lot of flexibility. So that's it. I just wanted to show you how to import the presets, what these two presets kind of look like, and how they might be helpful for you if you want to get that Kodak film look, especially the Portra. So yeah, give it a shot. It's on my they're on my Buy Me a Coffee page as a zip file in my extra sections, completely free. Donations are always welcome. Anything helps the channel. And then what also helps the channel is if you don't have Dehancer yet, use my discount code in the description below. And yeah, that's it for now, guys. I'm coming back soon with another video about other YouTube channels I recommend. So if you guys try this, follow up with me and let me know how it goes. And if you guys have any other presets you want me to work on, I will. I'm still doing Fujifilm recipes, of course, and I'll incorporate both of them as I go along. And side note, yes, there is a built-in Portra setting, a profile in Dehancer, but I felt it wasn't close enough. It didn't go far enough. So the built-in Portra setting needed some tweaking, and that's what I did. And I think these are pretty cool. So give them a try and let me know how it goes. And just like always, I appreciate every one of you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.